What's up, YouTube? So today I have an amazing guest. He's returning to the podcast. Troy, it's a pleasure to have you with me. We did a podcast more or less 1 year ago together, one on one, and I think it was a good time to have you on again. So repeating myself, but thank you so much for accepting the invite. Share a couple of words with my viewers. I feel like everyone knows you since you are one of the biggest content creators in the soccer card market. But how are you doing, first of all, actually?
I'm good. I'm good, man. It's crazy. Like you said, we haven't talked in a year. It's crazy what's happened in the past year. Like, I went to card shows in Europe twice. Like the World Cup has happened. It's been a crazy year. A lot has happened, but I'm good. And yeah, I'm Troy. I have a YouTube channel called Strike 415 Sports Cards. I would say yeah, my focus is soccer, but I do a lot of different things, basketball, football, F1, even doing a little bit of baseball now. I don't know what I'm getting myself into. But yeah, we do card show vlogs, mail days, PSA reveals, try to give tips and stuff as well. So if you're interested in any of that stuff, definitely check me out.
No, I mean, amazing channel. I feel everyone knows you at this point, but amazing channel, one of my favorite content creators in the space. I was watching your channel before having one, so I even got some inspiration from you, especially because I believe at the beginning you had more a market talk type of
Yeah.
videos, less vlogs. I still enjoy them, but
Mm.
that ended up, giving me actually some inspiration to also start this channel. So I have 5 questions, Troy. We don't need to stay very attached to them. Basically, these questions are entry points to have a nice conversation. Can I start with the first one, Troy? So actually
Yeah,
related
go ahead. I'm
with
ready.
sorry, so actually related with the topic about your YouTube channel, you are one of
Perfect.
the OGs on the content creation space, especially for soccer. What type of content do you believe is missing in our market? If you had to give some advice to a new YouTuber that you think, you know what, explore this because this is the type of content that you can provide value and is actually missing.
Um, what's missing? I don't know. It's that you want to hear. Here's a hot take. I'm famous for the hot takes on it right now.
Okay.
Um, I think there's actually not too much. I think it's hard because you know I'm gonna hype you up a little bit. You and James as well do such a great job with the market and the fundamentals. Um, that's hard for me to say anything there. Um, I think maybe more like ooh, okay, I got two. I would say good European vlogs
Mm.
would be really good. I know Soccer Cards UK does some good ones. There's a couple other guys like Pack Rip Mahomes, a couple guys who have started doing it, but I think continuing to do it, continuing to have good production value. I think for people specifically in Europe or even going to, I know I want to see like the local card shops or finding like imagine if I could see a vlog of someone finding, an old sticker collection in France and getting it engraved. Like that would be sick to watch. So something like that. And then also the more of the hot take was I think not like soccer cards to buy because I think that's kind of not the what people are looking for as much, but something maybe a little bit more specific um focus on that because people always ask me now, they're like, oh, what soccer card prospect should I buy? And I think we've learned a lot over the last year. Like people don't just want to be force fed that, nor should they trust content creators who are just saying like, oh, you should buy this right now. But I think I would watch and I know James definitely has done a little bit of it. I don't believe that you've done it, but just something to educate more on the new prospects, maybe what prices have been doing specifically, like more of like
Sure.
into the nitty gritty of the financials of short term potentially like flipping soccer cards.
No, for sure. I would agree with you on that. I think there is a channel that does that type of content. And now, but now I forgot the name of the channel. But I know the guy is Coffees and Cards, something like that.
Yeah, that's pretty good. But he only does Serie A.
Syria, yeah.
Yeah,
But I
but
totally
yeah, that
get.
is that is good. Something like that.
But I totally get your point. I think James did a bit of that. I don't think he's doing that much right now. I don't do it, and I will be very clear why. I think there is no good
Yeah,
fundamentals when it comes to prospecting, because performance is the only thing that matters in reality. In my, at least, long run is the only thing that matters. But like you said, short term, mid term, maybe there is some opportunity, and you can actually make great content. About that. The thing about vlogs in Europe, I actually believe is an amazing idea. I would love to do it,
mm,
but you know this very well. It's probably not worth it. You know, you go to France, you go to Spain, you have to
yeah,
pay a lot to go there, and the return on YouTube, unless you have some sponsor, unless you are a big channel, is not easy. But I totally agree with you on that. Would be amazing, especially because our market is not like American sports. Like if you are a baseball collector, again, you can go to a different state to chase collections, but. In
mm,
football, it's just insane. You can go to Brazil. You can go. Of course, we are talking about a big budget, but who knows? In the future, if our market grows, maybe there will be content creation around that. Maybe even related with this, maybe Goldin in the next season, if there is a next season, I don't know, can also, you know, have some type of content similar to what we are talking about.
yeah. It's yeah. I would love to see that. Something I was imagining like Golden or like Chasing Cardboard. If anyone's seen that on YouTube, and
Oh,
it's funny you mentioned.
amazing,
Yeah, go ahead.
amazing series, actually.
Really, really, really good.
I love
And
it.
it's funny you mention it not being worth it because I think about for me and like on my trips to Europe, like I definitely don't make for the content, definitely not worth it. And I don't even have a proper production team.
Yeah.
So I see, what these guys are doing. And I'm like, they have an editor, they have a cameraman, they have all this stuff. I'm like, how are they not losing a ton of money on this? Like it's people don't, even if you have sponsors and stuff like that, like I don't even know. I don't want to. They call this pocket watching in the U.S. It's when you're counting other people's money. But like Chasing Cardboard, right? Let's say they're averaging like 20K views or something like that. That's like I don't even know. Is that even?
I have no
It's
idea.
like it's like $150 in AdSense or something like that, right? And okay, they get a sponsor that's like maybe $500, but it just I guess the point is this stuff is expensive and you're not
Yeah.
bringing in as much money as you think you would. And the only thing real quick too on the making the prospect videos, yeah, the fundamentals aren't there, and I don't think anybody is once again asking like no one. I don't want anyone to come on here and say like I really don't think that would be good content coming in being like buy Sydney Rabinger or whoever the heck that is, you know what I mean? But I think it would be interesting if they kept me updated on what happened with him, right? Like I know he totally fell off, like he had a ton of hype, but for me, because I don't follow it super close, I don't know exactly what his performance is like. So him or like as soon as the Balogun thing happened, right? Come on, boom, people have hinted on it. Show me exactly what the prices are doing. Show me exactly how he's been performing. Maybe talk about the rumors of where he's going to go. Like something like that, I would be really interested in.
No, I agree. No, it's great ideas for sure. I think that will be possible. Not that will be possible. Sorry, I think that, for example, a market that can actually do that would be Pokemon. Do you know
Mhm.
PokeRev on YouTube?
Yeah.
You have
Yep.
10 million subscribers. So if you, it's not the type of content he does, to be fair,
Mhm.
but if he really wants to go to Europe to chase, because there is Pokemon cards in Europe, well, like you can imagine, to chase
Yeah.
different stuff in Europe, in Japan. I mean, with 10 million subscribers, I would assume that's probably easy to do. But for a small
Yep.
channel, gets, and in soccer, if we are realistic, we are all small channels comparing with
Mhm.
with Pokemon.
Definitely.
So, but I love the idea. So the question number one, Troy, is a difficult one probably, but I would love to know your perspective. In the last 3 years, what ended up surprising you the most in the soccer card market? Could be in a positive way, in a negative way, is up to you.
I would say two things. First of all, would be the World Cup. I was like completely wrong on it. I'll own that. Like I thought we would see a bump. Like if anything, I thought we would stay safe, stable, and we saw like a major like the bump just never really came for hardly anyone. And like messy cards. I mean, there's been some stuff after the World Cup, but a lot of stuff went down that I didn't think it would around the World Cup time. So that really, yeah, go ahead.
I actually think Messi was probably the only one that did okay because at the end we saw some bump on his cards, but the other players, I totally agree with you. Hey guys, quick pause on this one. Hope you are enjoying the video, but I want to share two things with you. The first is my Patreon community. If you love this type of videos, you probably love my content on Patreon. I put a new Q&A every week there, and I also put extra audio that you can call a podcast on Saturday. If you join Patreon right now, you have hours and hours and hours of content. It's actually quite crazy. Link below the video if you want to join. In this case, link on the description. The second thing is my Discord server. Amazing place to interact with me, amazing place to interact with other collectors to learn about the soccer card market. We are more than 900 members and we are growing super fast. Link also below the video, check both, and now let's continue with this one.
Yeah, and you know, we had been talking about the World Cup since I think I was talking about that in like my very first videos, you know, talking about the World Cup being something big. So that was surprising. I've always said like this is a whole nother train of thought with being a content creator, but like you kind of have to, you're going to be wrong about things. But I kind of like, sorry, I'm all over the place, but like I stand by my thought process on that, right? Like, you know, really everything to me pointing towards it didn't work out. And I'm kind of willing to live with that. But other things that surprised me, kind of going with that, I would say the highs and the lows. You know, my first, like the first card I ever talked about was like Phil Foden optics, Vinicius optics, and I wouldn't have expected, or prism based Messi's. I never would have expected how high those got. But also now I wouldn't have, you know, like Foden optics aren't even worth grading anymore, which is surprising. I wouldn't have thought that would be a thing. So how high we got, but then also now kind of how far things have slid. I wouldn't have expected that.
No, I agree. And you end up saying one thing that I think is very important to notice, that you are not alone. I also was wrong about some predictions I did for the World Cup. But I don't think there is any shame on that, honestly, as long you explain your train of thought, because we cannot predict the future. We know that this type of stuff, we can try to have educated guess, but that's about it. It's not more than that. And I remember watching your videos, and I thought you end up explaining your, and I end up agreeing with most stuff. So it is what it is. I also think, to be honest, the macroeconomics end up playing a huge factor in why certain things end up not playing out at that time. And I mean, it's not that long time ago, but the market was probably at the bottom. Even if you look at the SP500, that's crypto, things are a bit better right now comparing with November, December in general. Of course, there will still be things performing worse or better. But like you said, as long I think makes sense actually that you still stand with your takes, with your opinion, because you end up explaining them well at the time. Playing out or not, that's just a small detail, if you ask me.
Yeah, 100%. I think like, not to get too far into content creator talk here, because I'm sure that's not what everybody wants to hear, but it's tough to put yourself out there, and it's even tougher to make predictions, right? Like that's, you know, if you're talking to your buddies and you don't have a YouTube channel, like no one remembers what you say. And to be fair, like I've actually been lucky. I haven't really had anyone come at me and be like, you're so wrong. You're so, like, I don't get the Jeff Wilson treatment, right? Like, obviously I'm not as big as him. Maybe I'm not as bold with my predictions as him, but I do always just
exactly
kind of,
that.
Yes. But I do just always try to remember, like, first of all, deliver it in the right way, right? Like I never say like, oh, everyone, if you don't buy in the World Cup, you're going to lose all your money. Like you need to buy right now. You're going to miss it all. Like you have to say like, hey, here's what I'm thinking. This is why I'm thinking it. There's always risk. You don't know what's going to happen. And then if your prediction doesn't come true, as long as you like you said, provide your reasoning, you can stand by it even if things don't go the right way, because that's just life, right? The fundamentals, even though you're much better with the fundamentals than me, the fundamentals could literally be perfect and then things don't go your way. So you have to be like kind of be willing to live with that.
And when we say fundamentals, they are relative, because what I value in a card is probably different than you, and there is no wrong or right on that. At the end of the day, and yes, I believe it was yesterday I was talking on my Discord about this. Look, if you really want a market that makes a lot of sense, that have fundamentals that you can trust 100%, cards are probably not for you, because cards are crazy speculative. Yeah. And at the end of the day, you show me a gold out of 50, an orange out of 25, and the gold sells for more. Try to make logic of this. There is not a lot of logic apart. It is what it is. It's the market that prefers that color in specific. But can we say there is a strong fundamental there? No, actually, if we go by fundamentals, rarity would be strong on the orange. This is just a random example, but you get the point, right? Is trying also to be very, very logic with this is a recipe for disaster, in the sense that you'll get very disappointed, even if you try. Again, you can have your best guess, an educated opinion, but repeating myself, that's about it. You still have to understand that cards are crazy speculative, not super liquid. And that's the beauty of the market, because sometimes you you buy a card that actually the fundamentals are not even that great, but you end up picking the correct card, the hype end up going in your way, and it is what it is, basically. But yeah, great point. So the question number 3, and this is one that I'm really curious. I believe this is a very fun one for you. Buy one, sell one, hold one. Classic question on this podcast. Chrome 17, first year Chrome. Prism 2014, first year Prism also. And Flawless 15, the first year of Flawless. Talking about soccer, of course.
Do I go with my hot take, or do I go with my real answer right here?
You can do both. We have time.
Yeah. Okay. I'll start with the hot take to make it interesting. So I'm going to, no, I can't, because then I'm no. Okay. I'll explain what I'm thinking. So first of all, I would buy 2014 Prism, just because it's the very first one. And actually some of the random stuff right now is like really, really cheap. Like, I don't think people understand as well, like, even just the prisms, right? Like the silver with the print runs, it's I don't want to use the word rare, but there's not as many as you would think, especially in good condition. Like, I think it was on PWCC random thing, but I saw a Chiellini PSA 9 go for like $11 or something like that. I should buy every single one of those at that price. Chiellini it's a relevant player, first one ever. And even like the color, like, Michael, this is more of a random guy, but like Michael Bradley blue color match, Landon Donovan, like USA guys, those blues are like, especially raw, I think are like $5-10, something ridiculous. Like that's really cheap.
I actually think that's really cheap for the USA legends in reality, So.
Yeah, they're first, debatably like one of their most desirable cards. That's not like a crazy like flawless auto or something like that. So yeah, I think that stuff seems kind of cheap right now, and I think the fact that it was like basically the earliest, like the first real like chromium release of soccer cards. That other stuff I know happened, but yeah, so I think that's interesting, and that kind of goes into my hot take of I don't believe this, because I actually am holding a good amount of it, but Chrome 2017 has definitely heated up since I was on here talking about it a while ago. It's pretty expensive now. Yeah. And it seems like everyone is chasing it, and with good reason, right? All the first Chrome, beautiful cards, pretty good checklist stuff going on there. So I think, I guess I'll add a caveat to that, right? Like I've sold, like I'm transparent about it. Like I sell things like when it makes sense. Like there's certain Chrome I'm keeping, there's certain Chrome I'm not keeping. If the price kind of makes sense, I'm going to sell it. Like I think I've sold a Cavani purple PSA 10 for like $200 or maybe $250. Like that's a sell to me, and I think that is, Yeah, I think there is some people kind of getting caught up in the hype with a card like that, right? Or like you know, I'm keeping the golds as well, but I also see some gold sales where it's just like, there might only be one on eBay, right? Of a certain player. Like I have a Lee Griffiths from Celtic, and I think I have that up on eBay right now, and it wouldn't surprise me one bit if someone pays really strong on that just to
Yeah.
have it. And there's an argument to be made. Like I originally it was my goal to complete the whole gold set, and that would be really cool. Maybe I should get back to that actually now that I think of it. But I
I
guess
mean,
there's a lot of
Messi and Ronaldo, and of course Mbappe, they are
hmm,
crazy expensive at this point.
that's
That's
true.
the
That's true.
problem.
But if I got nines though, actually, like
Oh yeah.
Ronaldo nine is probably like not that. Like if a Messi 10, the Messi 10 just did what, 13?
I think something like that. Yes,
Yeah.
12K or
So okay.
something like that. Yeah.
So Messi 9 you could probably get for like 3K. The Ronaldo is actually probably like 1.5 or something like that. So you could get it done for, I think you could get it done for under 10 grand, which is a lot of money, but is not
I
insane.
do you
Like
think how much is Mbappe? That's the one I don't
uh
track.
that's
I
true.
think that's
I
probably
actually
the
I,
crazy one.
yeah, that's true. I haven't really even, but it wasn't too absurd if I remember correctly. I don't look at Mbappe. I've never bought an Mbappe Top Score from 2017. I've probably bought every single other player in that set. I've never bought one of his cards, but
But and
yeah,
makes
I don't
sense
know.
because that card was always super expensive. Not always, but since the set started
Yeah,
gaining attention, that card was already very expensive. So the Ronaldo stuff I saw. The problem is I'm not sure if it was a PSA 9 or a PSA 10, and this
yeah,
is a huge difference. But I saw a orange going for I believe 2.7K. So
okay, yeah,
that could be in line with what you are talking. The orange and the gold, sometimes the gold sells for more, but should not be much more. I don't think. But I actually thought was a PSA 10. So there is that.
yeah. So I guess that would kind of be my hot take. Like once again, the caveat, I'm holding a lot of Chrome. I still love it, but I do think there's some things that are really expensive right now. And I don't think that'll necessarily last forever, especially on the like Cavani's of the world, right? Like
Yeah.
it's a difference holding, and even still we've seen stuff slide. But yeah, so I guess I probably wouldn't pay $250 for like a Cavani 10 that's like a purple or a blue. But and shout out, sorry if you happen to be watching this. Thank you for buying the card. But yeah, with Flawless though, it definitely wouldn't be my buy. That's for sure. It's more realistically probably my sell for me. Just because of one, it's so expensive. For me right now in my life, I guess I'm just for me, I'm the one answering the question. I probably wouldn't. I don't want to be holding a ton of $5,000 cards. That's just kind of what it is, especially with what I'm doing, more actively moving cards, going to shows and stuff like that. Um,
And Troy, the
Also,
go on.
oh no, no, go ahead, go ahead.
Just one thing. I think
Yeah,
makes your argument also makes a lot of sense because at one point we had this narrative that high end is safe, and we are not
yeah,
seeing that by any means. So sometimes operating in cards that are a tier below but have better liquidity is because it's much easier to move a card that is 1K versus one that is 10K or 5K. The buyer's pool is much higher for the 1K slab and even much higher for the $200 slab. So just a small detail, but I thought was important one.
yeah, 100%. And I'm gonna circle back and get on my soapbox again about like being right versus not being right. I remember when like Zion base, and you can equate it to soccer, Prism base was all sliding. All the OGs, all the people who really knew cards, right? Were like, oh yeah, you idiots. Of course Zion's gonna go down. If you buy LeBron James rookie cards, that'll never go down. And then and they were talking about base cards. And then there was a small subset of them who were technically more correct who are saying, "Oh no, the base will go down, but the high end will never go down.
Yeah,
You guys are just idiots buying your Zion. If you have high end LeBron, you will never lose. You guys are just idiots." Blah blah blah, all this stuff, and then both those things went down. So that's the thing. Like even those guys who have been in cards for 20 years, actively buying, trading, they just didn't happen to have a YouTube channel, but they
yeah.
were all wrong. Everyone was wrong. So that kind of stuff happens. Sorry, I got on my soapbox for a second there. But yeah, flawless. And the other thing about that too is I don't actively buy or sell it, so I don't know it that well. But my understanding was a lot of the intrigue was it was like the only one, right, for a while.
The flawless. Are you talking flawless or?
Yeah, flawless.
Yeah, flawless. Yeah, I believe he's
Yeah,
I believe he's still the only one. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but at least he's the only one. I
yeah,
try to
or
look prices. So
yeah.
Emin,
And there was a,
Eminence have a second set
uh,
already, but flawless I believe is just one.
well, even just that, I'd be curious to see what's happened to Eminence prices since the new one came out, because I would imagine they've gone down a lot. And also just besides that, there wasn't a ton of high end like on card auto products and stuff like that. I guess I
Troy,
just think,
just
yeah,
one thing. The problem with Eminence is not the best comparison because the Messi autos are fake. There is all the
oh yeah,
controversial around. So basically, the best player on the set, those cars they don't sell for the amount they should sell if they are real. If you look at prices, I saw someone selling a Eminence for 4K, 5K. If that was
mm,
real, was much higher than that for a one card auto for Messi because that's how stickers sell nowadays. So, but yeah,
yeah.
flawless is in a different level, and I think that's also one of the reasons is that Eminence have some bad reputation in the first year.
True. But now that I'm I'm not going to backtrack my whole point. I locked up my answer now, but I do think that, as I've always said, I have seen some crazy sales for like the Messi and Ronaldo, really rare flawless stuff, like in China and stuff like that. Um, I'll plead ignorance. I just don't know enough about it. I don't even know. I couldn't even guess the number that stuff sold for. But I do think that long term, like there's going to be some people who like the nicest Messi and Ronaldo stuff for that set is going to be very, very expensive. But I guess I just kind of I want to see it shake out a little bit more. And then also that's a fair answer. I'm selling it because I don't really understand what's going on with it
Makes
too
sense.
much right now for me to feel confident
But
spending
Trey,
$5,000 on it.
would you agree? Because I see this take online a couple of times. Would you agree that
Mm,
flawless is probably the closest thing we have to a set like exquisite, the patch auto? I know it's not rookies,
yeah.
but would you agree with that? Because actually, I think there is some argument there, and I don't even have flawless to be totally honest, but they are match worn. The patch, I believe, most of them
Uh,
or all of them, I'm not sure, but most of them are. I believe, at least for the big players, on card autos. Flawless, I believe, is an important brand, for example, in basketball, right? So,
yeah.
would you agree with that, or do you think exquisite that type of product is just in a different level?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And I kind of said it without saying it, but like when I like overseas, like China and stuff, they love that exquisite
Yeah,
basketball. It's like nothing you've seen what they're willing to pay. Even like a random player like Tracy McGrady, right? If it's his like one of one exquisite, like they will kill for that, like no other set. So that's kind of what I was thinking. Like even maybe one day like a Harry Kane flawless, which I actually have bought and sold. I know they're not too crazy expensive. Um, you never know. It does remind me of like exquisite with the hype and everything like that. I just need to be a little bit more educated on it before I really dove into it.
yeah. I'm also no expert to be honest with
Yeah.
you, Troy. I think it's a nice set. I believe again trying to look at the options we have right now in the market. If you like something high end, probably could be the set to go. You need to pay a lot of money for, especially if you want. Cristiano Ronaldo is funny. He's not super expensive in flawless. I saw don't ask me if he's the best flawless or not, because I also don't know. But I saw, at least I thought was a nice card for Ronaldo, out of 25, a patch auto, I believe was 4K or 5K. A lot of money, don't get me wrong, but Messi is 20K at least, so he's just in a different level at this point. And that's also Ronaldo with Real Madrid, that I think there is also an amazing story behind his greatness with that club. But yeah, I think is a nice set. I also don't know that much. If I have to answer this one, I think I would swap Chrome for Prism. I would buy Chrome because the reason I would buy Chrome is simple. Is that I feel like Prism is difficult to find. So I guess you can say because of that should also be a buy when you find it. But I think Prism, the nice parallels are difficult to find. For example, the out of 25, even the national convention, the blue pulsar that is not numbered but is out of 55. I also track those. They don't appear that much for the best players. Even out of 99, they don't appear that. You have a lot of the blues, the reds, but the other ones they get a bit more tricky. And for Chrome, I feel like you can still find golds, orange, reds are impossible at this point, to be honest. But golds and reds, golds and orange, I don't think they are impossible. Even greens, I think green is a beautiful parallel. So trying to, this is a thing I have. I like cards when I'm buying numbered cards. I like them to be below 100 copies, because when it's above 100 copies, I feel like, I don't know, maybe something mental, but I don't think they are rare for some reason. But I love green. I love, of course, gold. Everyone likes. And I also like orange. I think orange is probably the most underrated parallel in Chrome, since sells for less a lot of times than gold, and is twice rare. So for me, there is opportunity there. Can I be wrong 100%? But at least it's the way I look at things. Old, I don't know, probably Prism. So I guess I would agree with you, just changing Prism with Chrome. I would old Prism because everything, basically you said the reason is the first American set, so that alone will forever be a huge narrative. And Flawless, I probably think Flawless is also a buy or an old, but if I had to put one, I would put Flawless. But I actually like Flawless a lot. I think there is great fundamentals if you believe in high-end, if you believe in modern soccer in Flawless. There is more sets. I also think Noir is beautiful. Also, I'm not sure if people consider that a high-end set, but there is high-end cards for sure on that set. So yeah, that would be my answer. But I have to give you props for one thing. I remember being a bit of a hater, probably a strong word, when it comes to Chrome. And right now I'm collecting Chrome. So you can see that we end up talking about sometimes being wrong, and it is what it is, You move and you learn, basically.
And I think that boils down everything we've said as well. Like being able to, you can always change your opinion, right? Like it's one thing as long as you're not mislead like that, right? You weren't saying that to try to like, oh, I'm gonna like, so no one else buys Chrome. It's like, no, you thought that, maybe you reflected, looked at information. You're like, no, actually, I think that this is something that interests me. I think maybe there's potential, and you go for it. That's perfectly fine to do.
Actually, I want to talk about that because I see some people sending me sometimes a message on YouTube that now I collect a lot of modern, and I was against modern. And I guess that shows that I'm not stick to my own beliefs. I'm trying always to find different stuff, to evolve. And the reason that I end up going in a spiral to the modern world was actually Panini Treble, I have to be honest, because I started collecting the set and I realized one thing very quick. I love to collect sets. Not even modern, to be honest, but I love to put all the trebles together. Then I started buying some Chrome, and all of a sudden I have like 10, maybe not 10, but like let's say 5 or 6 golds for Chrome 2017. And I was like, okay, now I need more. And that's something I'm realizing every day, that The thing I enjoy the most in the soccer card market is actually chasing a goal, chasing sets, and modern is very good for that because you have the different parallels, and let's all be real. Everything is about the law of supply and demand, and in modern you have the supply controlled, if that makes sense, because if you are buying
Yeah.
a orange that is 25, you don't need to worry about more appearing on the market. You know that at the worst case will be 25. But just wanted to say this because
Yeah.
I get some message about this type of stuff. So question number 4. I never asked you about this topic, but we all talk a lot about World Cup 2026, and we end up talking about World Cup 2022.
Yeah.
So let's look to the future. We all tend to agree, and I think there is nothing wrong with that probably will be a huge catalyst in the market. Being in America is a huge thing. We also know that our market most likely will be more mature around that time. Fanatics impact will probably also be a bit more evident in 4 years. But you think this is an overrated perspective, overrated opinion that our market will peak in 2026? Or do you think it makes sense to believe in that?
I think it's kind of like the actual how do I say this? I just don't know. Well, I'll say the first thing that's easy for me. How it's just far away, right? Like what card makes sense to buy right now
Yep.
purely because of that World Cup, right? Like you could say, oh, Messi and Ronaldo or like legends, right? It'll be big then. But it's kind of like, okay, but you would have been buying those anyways then, right? If you believe in that those are good long-term cards.
Agree.
I mean, if you want to like okay, take Balogun, someone who I actually liked and I bought, like it's a long road, man. Like you should believe, if you think you can hold him for 3 years, then you kind of believe in him regardless, right? So I'm just trying to think of like what's the example of a card that you're buying just for that World Cup because of how far away it is, right? Like we've learned nothing else. There's going to be so many ups and downs in between there that I don't know. It's kind of tough. But the only thing I can kind of think of is I do believe that that's going to grow the game huge. It's going to get a lot of collectors and stuff involved in the US, like kids down the road, the future. It's going to be great for the game of soccer. But once again, I kind of just believe in that growth anyways. Like I think the game is going to continue to grow, especially in the US. It has been growing. So yeah, I guess I just don't even think about that currently for me. Even when it comes to like long-term holds, that's not really a huge factor for me right now. It's just kind of like too far away.
No, I would agree with you. I'm starting to having a feeling that is a bit overrated because that's because scares me in the sense that okay, but if everyone is thinking the same, things will not work. If everyone is saying that will be the time to sell, probably that will not be the time to sell. And also, I don't like that mindset because I'm a collector. So I don't want to sell in 2026. I would love to see my collection grow. I would love in terms of appreciation by the secondary market. But I don't know. I feel like this World Cup was a good example, even though macroeconomics is not playing a huge role. But look how many cards end up hitting the market in November, December. Because LCC was so strong every week, was crazy. Right now, we are not seeing. We are actually seeing prices a bit stronger than in the past, and this just shows that when people try to predict this type of stuff, they fail really bad because if everyone is thinking about selling the card in the World Cup, a specific card in the World Cup, that card will not sell that well unless there is some bubble, some mania. But I think our market will grow quite a lot. So that's why I said I agree with you in general. But maybe for some people this could be overrated catalyzed since they are probably putting too much weight in something that is still very speculative, like you said. To be fair.
Yeah, I just don't even know what the type, like I said, what the type of card you'd be targeting to sell then. Like there's short term, there's long term, right? So like long term legends like Messi and Ronaldo, let's just stick with Messi and Ronaldo. I don't know why you would specifically want to sell then if you believe in it long. Like if you think it's going to hold up till 2026 or go up, it'll probably keep going up like after that if you really believe in it. Short term is short term is obviously off the table. Like, I mean, take someone like Giovanni Reina, right? Like hypothetically, he should be a good player for us then. But like there's so much ups and downs. Like I don't know how anyone could think that. When I think of like a midterm player, maybe like an Mbappe or someone who more likely than not will be relevant then and also should get some attention because they'll actually be playing. But even then, like there's so much. Yeah, go ahead.
I think Mbappe could be a good example because he will be, 27, 28?
Yeah.
Something, so maybe close to his prime. But even that is so, who knows what will happen with Mbappe in the next
that's what I was
couple
gonna
of
say.
years.
There's probably, and I don't really feel like diving deep into it right now and naming all the players, but there's probably only a small handful of players who we know are gonna more likely than not be in their prime, be good enough that there will be a sell opportunity there. But there's just so much that could, you just have no, Mbappe, Haaland, like who knows what's going to happen over the next 3 years. It's not a game I would want to play with holding them for 3 years.
Yeah, even
looking
Haaland,
to sell specifically at 2026.
Haaland is amazing, but who knows if the Norway makes until the World Cup? Yeah, so it's just so crazy to predict this stuff. But the last topic I have for you, and this is a free question, to be honest, is your hot take. You end up sharing a couple already, but let's end with a final one, or take and popular opinion about the hobby, about the soccer card market. Is up to you. About life, if you want.
No, that's what I like. I should do one just on life.
It's a free question.
Yeah, there's a couple podcasts I like. Like there's a basketball podcast, and then at the end they just do like life advice. Like people write in, and I was like, that would be fun. I would love to do something like that. But hot take. I think. Wow, I don't want to be the doom and gloom guy, but you said it's a hot take, so it's a hot take. I think, and maybe this is not even a hot take because I think people already think this. There is so much soccer being released right now. Like there's a lot, man. Like I can't keep up with the select, and there's new kabooms and like these field levels and score, and they have the team sets and autos and all this stuff. It's too much. It's way too much. And I guess the hot take would be, I think people are gonna sneakily potentially, like people always think about, people got hurt off Prism base. Like people are going to get hurt off this stuff too. Even like, I don't have too many examples at the front of mind, but like some David Beckham stuff when it first released was crazy expensive. Or even looking at people's Legends first mosaic sticker autos, and they're super expensive. Like I look at some of these prices and I'm like, man, they're just going to keep printing these sticker autos. There's just going to be more and more and more. There's going to be more night moves, more kaboom, more of this stuff. I mean, kaboom is actually a legendary thing, but still, I guess that would be my hot take. Like I think that the quantity and the supply for this stuff, especially in like the last year, maybe 2 years, is going to be a real problem. And it might actually have like a pretty big effect on the soccer market, because if people get burned holding their night moves PSA 10s, then it's going to be like, I don't know.
I agree 100% again with you. I feel like honestly, I will go back to another point that I was talking about. That's one of the reasons I started appreciating more Chrome 2017, Prism 2014, because no matter what happens, those will be, there is no way to change that. Those will be the first sets for two the most important brands we have in the market. And you end up talking about Beckham. Look, I remember when Beckham Kaboom ended up hitting the market, I believe was Road to Qatar Don Rosses. People was paying stupid amount of money for that. I was checking the prices, they are down really, really bad. I see some people paying a lot of money for a lot of new legends in this new select set of La Liga or something like that. I don't even track this type of stuff very close. but you don't need to be a genius. Those guys will get hurt, and there will be pain on that market for sure. I actually made a video about autographs recently on my YouTube channel. I really believe sticker autos is probably the area of the market that is most overrated right now, even for Messi. I mean, you look at a Leaf Messi is 1K. I don't get it. I'm talking about a
Yeah.
sticker auto. I really don't get it. I think people should put in perspective one thing. Messi is not going anywhere. I mean, Messi will be signing for the next 20 years, 30 years, most likely. And
Yeah.
unless our market grows in a parabolic way, I don't see how can the supply, how can the demand matches the supply. And with Fanatics, they will probably even start signing more. I believe the deals will be stronger for them. I guess people can say, oh, if they are producing more, maybe there is more demand. Or maybe not, or maybe they are producing too much and we are facing a junk wax era, but a bit different because there is numbered cars, there is different sets. And another thing, and I was talking with a friend that actually buys a lot of modern, and he totally agrees with everything we are saying. That look, modern have a huge problem. The more you see all of this set, the new set, you kind of it's kind of easy to lose interest in the modern
Yeah.
market, in my perspective, because you think, yeah, this is just a new thing. Tomorrow there will be. Do you remember Don Rosas in 1 year ago? Everyone was
Mm.
not Don Rosas. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Obsidian. Even FIFA streamers, and I saw FIFA streamers talking about the set. No one is talking about Obsidian. Let's all be realistic. Will Select be different? Will Optic be different? Or the new set that is coming out? I'm really not sure, honestly.
Yeah, it's just tough. I have a couple things. First of all, like if people have stayed this long, they get the inside scoop. So I sold my Messi gold patch auto PSA 9. And a lot of people were saying, "Oh my god, why'd you sell that?" Blah blah blah. Well, first of all, because I got a good price versus what I bought it at. But second of all, like you said, like I mean, I like that card. I think it's a beautiful card, but it was I think 2020 immaculate. And they're just going to be more. I don't. It wasn't game worn sticker auto. They're just going to be more of that
Yeah.
made. Like, you know, I mean, there's no reason. There's no reason that there's not going to be 10 more versions of that exact card. You know, and like I said, I probably would agree with you. I think that Messi autos and just be careful. There's going to be more of them. Second, oh boy, I completely lost it. We were talking about okay, yeah, like the Select La Liga, all that stuff. I mean, you know, I'm active with my buying, right? People send me stuff all the time. I won't even like if someone sends me a Select La Liga comp and it's like, you know, even if they give me a good percentage, I'm just not really interested. Like I just don't like there's just so much of it right now. And the comps, like they just come down quick after the release, you know. And because I see it, right? Like even like this is no disrespect to this guy. He sent me, it was like Topps paper orange Julian Alvarez, and the comp was like $500 or something like that. He's like, "Oh, I'll give it to you for 400 or something like that," which is fair, right? Based on the comp. But I'm like, I am not spending $500 on this paper card of Julian Alvarez. Like, it's just, especially with these random, I don't know, there's just some crazy stuff. That stuff is going to come down a lot. And last point I was going to make with this overprinting, like in the US, you know, there's always kids looking to buy Joe Burrow, LeBron James. Like the demand for that stuff is just so huge. Like people will always be buying it. I'm just concerned with like how much, like just so much is being printed. Like it just can't meet. I don't know how to explain this well, because obviously it's being overprinted in basketball and football as well. But the gap between the demand and the supply, I just think at some point is going to be like so huge that it's kind of scary to think about. Okay, but what happens with all this stuff then? Like a year from now, right? Like literally, who, like one person who is going to be buying, you know, the Topps Road to the Knockout Champions, the paper, like all this stuff. Like I just literally can't think of a single, like one person who will be buying it. So it's like, what happens to the prices at that point?
And every card needs a home at the end of the day, you know. And that's the
Yeah.
problem. Is Yeah, I mean, it's fascinating stuff in one end, you know, because it will be fun to see how this stuff plays out. But Look, I'm no genius in the market, to be honest. I do things that I think are quite basic. I like to buy Messi rookies when I see good deals. I like to buy the first year Chrome, the first year Prism, second year cards when I think there is some condition rarity.
Yeah.
And that's about it. First card, talking about Messi right now, but apply the same logic to the other players. Because look, people really have to understand one thing. The more Messi cards they make, Messi is a player, put X player instead of Messi. Is the same logic. But the more Messi cards they make, the more specially the Messi 7-1Bs becomes over time. Because that will forever be the first. The more Chrome they make, the more specially the Chrome 2017 becomes. The more Prism they make, but the more Select they make does not make your last year Select special, because that's not the special release for Select. So this narrative, look, why is the rookie, why we all chase rookies? Because that's a narrative by itself. It's the first card for a player that maybe become great in the future. This logic is not only, we don't call this rookie in TCGs, but why is the Charizard, the first one, so expensive? Because it's the first one. It's the first Charizard that appeared. It's kind of the rookie Charizard at the end of the day. Why is the first Magic the Gathering card so expensive, the alpha set? Because it's the first set for the game. And this type of logic, people really don't need to be super smart, if you ask me. They just have to push all the BS aside, all the hype. And I will be critical about one thing in our market. Sometimes people that break, and we have friends that break, and I love them, but look, they have to sell the product. They have to get you engaged into this type of stuff. And we all know...
Say the names. No, say the names.
No, Brian, I think you're thinking about Brian. But Brian actually is not... no, but Brian is not the worst by any means. I think Brian actually is very honest. As far as I'm aware, he makes really good prices. But there is a side of the breaking, and he probably agrees with me on this one, that is very related with gambling. There is a lot of addiction. I mean, it's just crazy stuff, to be honest, when you put in perspective. Probably soccer is not even the worst. If you go to basketball, baseball, things are even a bit more bananas, but this is the market we care, so we talk about this. But people really don't need to be super smart to make, I should not say good decisions, because they can still play bad if the market does not do well long run. But if the market does well long run, the first cards for Messi will be important. The first card with Argentina will be important. Then you have to take a look. Should you buy a PSA 8, a PSA 9, maybe a 10? That's a different conversation. But those cards will be important. The first modern sets, like you ended up talking with me a couple of minutes ago, Prism, Flawless, Chrome, those will be important. The third or the fourth tier Select, why would that set would be important? People really have to ask this type of stuff. Unless, by the way, if they are talking about the rookie, that's a different, because maybe if the player plays out, the rookie was on that set. But overall, it's really tricky.
Yeah. No, I have a couple things, a couple shout outs. First of all, shout out to Brian.
No, I like Brian, so I feel bad to say this, but I like him, and I actually think if you guys want to break, go to Brian, because at least
no free plugs. No. I knew. I was 100% joking. I know you're not like talking about him, or him specifically, obviously. I guess my first thing was like, he actually is. It surprises me how good of a guy he is as a breaker. He was telling me some story of like, you know, like cutting someone off, and I was like, oh, like, could they not afford it, or like something like that? He's like, no, they could. I just like, they had a pattern of behavior that I didn't think was healthy, or like something like that. And I was like, oh wow, I would never do that. Like, but like 99.9% of breakers would be like, you got the money, you're in. But, like, I was like shocked. I was like, someone had money to give you and you didn't want it. I was like, wow, like, I don't think a lot of people would do that. But yeah, shout out to them. I guess the second shout out would be shout out to Top Loaded Podcast, the boys in the UK. I like to keep up with kind of what's going on in the UK scene. And that goes back to my hot take that you know, they were super hype, right, when the first, like, they're Arsenal collectors, like the first Saka Color Blast or whatever came out, and they're even saying themselves, they're like, well, you know, I got it. Now they're releasing more and more Saka cards, and it's like, I can't collect all of them. I'm not just going to keep keep buying them. You know, the first when it first released, it was kind of cool, but it's just too much to keep up with now. And obviously, Top Panini knows way more than me, but it feels like they're printing to meet a little bit of like the pandemic demand, and then also people's demand when stuff first came out, and it was their first chance to get Brighton cards, or even, you know, in Spain, like I don't know, Sevilla cards or whatever's coming out. But I just don't. It's not going to sustain. And like I said, there will always be some random kids to buy your junk Joe Burrow or LeBron James cards. But like, I literally, who are these cards going to end up going to? So I'm interested to see what happens with that.
Yeah, I mean, this is a fascinating topic because I also don't get why people gamble, you know. So, and that's a
Yeah,
huge business around the world.
yeah.
So I
Well,
think
yeah. I
people
mean, you know why
probably
people gamble.
like, yeah, they like probably the emotion, the rush,
Yeah.
but do you really think they believe they will win, or is just because we know the stats? 99% of people lose money on, you know, is or do you think is ignorance that
No,
they believe will be different with them? I don't know.
no, they really do though. And it's funny. I've talked about that because like whenever I've talked about it with my friends, for kind of for good and for bad, right? Like if I lose $100 on blackjack or something, I'm like, you're an idiot. You were gonna lose. You were always gonna lose. Why did you do that? You should never do that again. Versus, like, I really think the majority of people, they'll go down. They'll be like, no, next time I'm gonna hit. Like, if I double down, I know I'm gonna come back and make my money. Like, I think people really think that. Versus, like, I think me and it seems like you, like, I'm just like, no, the odds were never in my favor. That was stupid. Like, you're not going to get it. Like, people really, there's like, they're just looking for the one kind of hit, like in a break, right, to even back out. And obviously, I have to throw in the one caveat to everything, like, so I don't get ripped apart too much. Like, if you're a collector, do whatever you
Yeah,
want, right?
of
Like, we're
course, of
talking
course.
from a we're talking from a financial perspective in this podcast.
Yeah, especially because in breaks, a lot of people they just buy Barcelona or Arsenal,
Yeah.
so maybe they are just collection, and that's fine. But there is also the other side of the market that people are trying to hit the jackpot, and odds are not in their favor. So I think it's always important to pass this message. But I have to say one thing: when I was younger, I also ended up gambling in some websites, stuff like that,
Mm.
in soccer. I mean, because all my friends ended up doing, and I was them, and I also did it. But then, when you get more education, when you start putting in perspective all of this stuff, you realize, yeah, this is just waste of money. Maybe I will win one day something, but when I put in perspective everything I lost previous to that is just insane. And I don't even think there is anything that's wrong with gambling. I have to say it because I know people that gamble $1, €1 per game, and they are just happy having $20 on their account,
Mhm.
and I think that's okay to be honest. But we also know there is people that actually ruin, destroy lives with gambling, and that's the scary part. And people, and I got that a lot because of it a lot of times. By the way, that I'm very critical about breaking because I think breaking is gambling. I really don't think that there is that much
It
of a
is, yeah.
difference. So that's my 2 cents on the topic. But people should do your own decisions. Troy, I have a
Yeah.
couple of
It's funny.
no, go
Can I
on,
just
go
say
on.
one thing?
Of
I
course, of
thought of
course.
something as you were saying it, and it kind of is explaining some of the stuff I'm saying. The soccer market, if you look at it, the people who are in it is, I don't want to be disrespectful here, but it's okay because I think only soccer people are really listening to this, is so much more educated and smarter than the other sports markets.
I agree.
Like, it really is. So that's kind of like, I was trying to explain why, but like, there's always, once again, I'm repeating myself, but like, there's random people who don't know prices. They don't care about value. They're like, they don't know what's what. They'll buy your random Joe Burrow, LeBron James cards. But it's like I said, in soccer, people aren't just like throwing money out there. They're like, no, wait, if there's going to be another soccer color blast, maybe I shouldn't pay as much for this one. And I swear that's like 80% of the market, where versus in soccer and basketball, that's like 5% of the market, or excuse me, basketball and football is like 5% of the market. So that's why I think it's going to be interesting what happens with this overprinting. I think it'll have even more of an effect because I think people are smarter with their money in this market.
No, I agree with that. And okay, maybe I'm really wrong on what I'm about to say. But for
Mm.
example, I think a channel like mine, a channel like James, I maybe I'm really wrong, but I don't see that this type of channels in basketball, in
No, yeah.
baseball, and I think that already shows it. And by the way, there is more content creators that do this type of content. All Recollection was doing this even before
Yeah.
I was on YouTube, and I always felt that the soccer community, look, there is problems in the soccer community, but when it comes to investing, value investing, we actually have great content out there. We actually have,
Yeah.
I believe, the Vintage Discord, my Discord. We talk about this stuff quite a lot, and maybe I'm wrong, but I don't see that. Look, I guess I can talk about Pokemon and Magic since I
Mm.
also collect that type of stuff. Man, it's a wild market. I'm gonna tell you,
Yeah.
people buy because they like it. That's the argument they use. Yeah, I'm buying because whatever. I thought the card was looking nice on the PSA slab. That's it. And in soccer, it's very rare that someone gives you this type of answer. Normally, they say, no,
Yeah.
this is the first prism. Oh, this player is very important. Okay, there is condition rarity. Even this type of concepts that we think are so common, condition rarity, the first thing, then narratives, catalysts. I don't see other markets talking about this stuff that much. Our market talks a lot. Maybe this is our own bubble, but at least I
Mm.
agree with you on that totally. So Troy, I have a couple of quick questions actually that I end up putting
Okay.
there, but they are fun ones.
Cool.
And they are not even quick questions, to be honest. I just want your opinion.
Okay.
Did you saw the Golden Show?
I watched the first episode, and
But
it's funny. I was watching it. Yeah, go on.
but okay, but to be fair, you can still answer this perfectly. I feel
Okay.
like. Do you feel that show will have an impact in the card market in general, not soccer, in the card market? Because
And
let me
now,
give let me give you
yeah,
one point. Maybe I will try to change your opinion on that. But that show was top 10 in America at one point and was, I believe, top
oh
8
well,
or 7 in UK, also top 7 in New Zealand and Australia. So basically, the English countries,
mm.
I thought the show did very, very well, but I would love to know your perspective because I feel this is a type of topic that you probably have a much better insight than me.
Yeah. I guess the disappointing thing, and I'm curious. I'll let you expand on it a little bit because I think I heard you talk about it with one of your friends watching it or something like that. But yeah, the disappointing thing for me and why I don't think it'll have a big effect is, was it you who said it? I know you talked about it, but someone else had this point as well. Like that show, I think is really it appeals to collect, like it's for us. It's for people who
Yeah,
really watch
it
it
was
and
me,
enjoy
yes,
it.
yes.
Okay. Yeah. Because I didn't know. I put it on with, and we were on a flight too, so we're even more bored. But I put it on, and I was watching it with my girlfriend. I put it on, and then I turned it off because I was like, "This is so boring." Like not so boring, but I guess I could just tell that she wasn't going to enjoy this. And she's so nice too, right? Like normally she would be like, "Oh no, 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 let's watch." I turned it off. She's like, "Okay, cool. What are we watching now?" Like she was done with the show. I guess that's the thing that kind of concerns me about it, at least from what I've seen. Like I don't think that regular people are just going to be watching this and then getting into cards, which is kind of like what we were hoping, right?
No, that's a good point. And honestly, I have mixed feelings to be honest about the show
Yeah.
because I totally agree with what you said. I remember watching the first episode with a friend, and they start
Yeah.
talking about the baseball stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
come on. I mean, okay, okay, this ended up sounding really bad, but I don't care about baseball to be honest.
Yeah.
Um, and I watched the entire series, and I thought, look, if you like cards, this is a good show to watch. I can guarantee you, you watch the show and you'll like it, Troy, one
Yeah.
hundred
Yeah.
percent,
If you
because
like it. Yeah.
you like cards, you like the things related with shows, memorabilia, etc.
Yeah.
So you 100% would like it. But that
Mhm.
was my idea. Yeah, a guy like me like us, a guy like Troy probably will also enjoy it. But I'm really not sure about the normal guy. But then I saw
Yeah.
that the show was top 10, and I was like, okay, maybe there is something that I'm missing. And
Mhm.
Yeah, that's why I'm a bit confused, because when I watched the show, I also had probably a more negative perspective. But look, and I was actually tracking the Goldin page on Instagram. They grew a lot. It was crazy. I,
Really?
I, I was refreshing, and every day they are gaining like 5K, 10K subscribers. Things that are real, I thought was quite crazy. At least for me, I thought, oh wow, this is impressive. So that's why I have mixed feelings. So, for example, Pokemon, and you probably saw the clip, the guy selling the Charizards on Pawn Stars or something
Mhm.
like that. That clip was one of the reasons that the Pokemon market started gaining a lot of attention. So I can
Yeah.
imagine in the future, I know this is very fresh, so probably there is still very strict laws with Netflix to have things on the platform, but eventually that stuff will go to YouTube, and I don't know. I think that can actually impact the market long run, but I'm not totally sure. I have to say it.
Yeah, yeah. We'll see. I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna get a care package again after for the second season after what I just said, but I hope for all the best for the show. It'll be interesting to see what it does. But I think yeah, it's very important. I don't know if it does or it doesn't. Like we don't know. That's the thing. We can spend forever speculating. We don't know. But it needs to appeal to the mainstream to have an impact on the card market, not just to me and you. That's not gonna move the needle.
No, and look, I said this a couple of times. I have most of my viewers, they don't like when I talk about TCGs. But I think TCGs could be a good thing for Goldin to talk about. Pokemon stuff is
Yeah.
huge. I mean, PokeRev have 10 million subscribers opening Pokemon
Mm.
cards. That's
Yeah.
mainstream as it gets in the card market. And I think that show going more in that direction, talking a bit more about soccer, talking a bit more about F1, for example, I think could be a good
Yeah.
idea. I'm not saying they should ignore baseball or
Mm.
basketball. I look in a different way because basketball is an international sport. Also,
Yeah.
there is a huge community in Portugal that collects NBA cards, and I was not even aware. Just to put in
Mhm.
perspective, baseball and American football, I think is a bit more Americans. I don't think
Yeah.
outside of basketball is different. So the other question, and is basically also your thoughts. So you probably are aware of the PWCC situation that got bought by
Mhm.
Fanatics, and the
Yeah.
real question: do you think that's a good thing for us or not?
Um, yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure. Cause I mean, just off the fact that it seemed like they were having major issues, right? Like a couple of people have made this point, but if there had been a major liquidation from PWCC, or even if it had just failed, like imagine if people, I don't know the exact laws and stuff, but imagine if people got burned and like lost their money or lost their cards. Oh my God, that would have been catastrophic for the market.
Yeah, I got a lot of questions about the PLCC. Should I take the cards from the vault? And I have
Yeah.
most of my collection in the vault. And to be fair, I always thought probably no, because I mean the cards
Yeah.
I mean, seems really really a crazy scenario that they start selling your cards. But I
Yeah.
mean, but there was some fear for sure. I think right now people should be totally fine. If Fanatics owns that, they are not
Oh yeah.
selling your cards. I think that those are
Yeah.
probably they are the safest of all the vaults
Mhm.
right now. I also think Golden is very safe to be honest, but you get the point. And yeah, Troy, this is everything I have for the podcast. Hope you enjoyed. If you have any final thoughts, feel free.
No, that was it. It was good talking to you. Thank you for having me on. It's always a fun time. Yeah, I'm interested to see what kind of happens with the soccer card market going forward. I know it's going to be needs to be a little bit quiet now in the off season, right? So it'll be interested to see. We have a lot of releases, everything. I'm interested to see what happens. And then also shout out to anyone if anyone's watching from overseas over in Europe. I'm trying to make it out there for a card show soon. I saw London card show, I saw Paris. I need to be there soon. So hopefully I'll see everyone out there soon. And hopefully we're still we got to see you at one, man.
We
That's what
have to
we're
talk about that
waiting for.
because you probably know I send you a DM
Yeah.
about one stuff, so maybe
Yeah,
we can do something.
for sure.
Especially, I guess this is almost a spoiler, especially if it's Paris or Germany.
Okay,
But
awesome.
yeah, thank you so much for spending this time with me, Troy. Again, next year, or maybe even sooner, we'll do another one. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. Do not forget to leave a like, and see you guys next time. Bye.